Today we're going to start with the gua cut. Gua means shaving, the same as if you're shaving your face. So it's just coming, sweeping up. The cutting action, those people familiar with it know this gua is cutting up like this. It's the same cutting action as the liao. The real difference between the liao and the gua is liao usually conceptually includes a deflection. So if you're thinking liao, it's usually deflect, cut, or deflect and cut like this. All those could be considered or would be generally thought of as a liao. So you're receiving and then releasing, making a nice continuous movement. The gua is where you're just stepping in and seizing the moment. So if I'm facing my dui fang here and I just see an opportunity and I just swing in, cutting up here, that's a gua. Consequently, though, or interestingly, although like say in the Yangshi Taiji Dao form, for example, it has both gua and liao and lists them both in the table of basic cuts, but in the form, the gua always is starting also from a deflecting movement. So I think that is in there to explain or to make it clear to the practitioners. There are two ways you can use this kind of cut or other cuts as well. One is when you're, okay, I've deflected and I come back with my P cut, or I just go in with a P cut. Right? They're very different situations. One is you're seizing the active line. The other is that you're deflecting and making an opening, creating an opportunity to use your cut. So the gua is, I'm just seizing that moment, I see an opportunity, and I just, like a hungry tiger, go in. Now, if you recall, too, from the past when we used the gua, and I quite like the gua as a saber cut because I feel it really epitomizes the essence, the idea, the methodology of this sort of military approach to Dao Fa, right? And we've discussed this in the past. So just quickly, not everybody's going to do Dao Fa like I do. Many people will practice Dao Fa in a fashion very similar to how I would think of Jian Fa, right? These things are not, carved in stone and universal across Chinese swordsmanship. I like to differentiate them and think of the Dao and use my Dao, use the saber in this more military fashion rather than one that's very similar to how I wield my Jian. Specifically so I have different approaches, different modalities for dealing with different kinds of dui fang. So I like this gua because, like I said, it really epitomizes this kind of approach to Dao Fa where I'm coming in because what you're doing is just like a hungry tiger just leaping in. I'm also using the flat of my blade to beat and strike, or I can. So even if a dui fang is in a really good ready position, if you catch it just right, you're coming in and beating up. Must cut to just above your shoulder level. Very important you do that. So you cut low, your dui fang can cut over top. So I'm using the flat of my blade to strike the dui fang's blade, hit it to the side, and at the same time, looking to slice the inside of the arm or maybe even up into the armpit. So it's a very aggressive seizing. I said very sort of tiger-like movement, if you will. So you're the tiger. Very tiger-like movement to come forward. So I can do it from a deflection. You see it sometimes from here and also in the Yangshi Taiji Dao form. That's gua, and it starts from this deflection and in. Technically, I would say, even though the form says that's gua, I would say that's a liao. Setting that aside, it can come from either side with either foot forward. Here I'm going to use our more stance. I tend to use more with my Dao Fa with my left foot forward. Starting from here, this is a good position we can use also with the shield and just sweeping up. And along with that hitting kind of idea, I'm using my Sui-bu following step where I'm really delivering my body mass as a sharp strike to the dui fang's weapon. So this is one we've used before. So we're just going to start from here. And I'm stepping slightly to the diagonal because I'm really pressuring the dui fang's weapon and in and cut here. So back, my weight's on my rear foot, on my right, left foot's forward, and sweep up with your gua. So starting nice and sunk, it's going to be a big turn of the waist. Pay attention to your edge angle as you do this. You don't want it scraping, right? So I'm in here, and sweeping up. So sunk, nice and sunk, and sweep up. And if you want to just for variation, you can say, okay, I'm going to deflect and sweep up. And I can deflect and sweep up with the gua. And you see I'm really bringing my body in there. I'm getting that sway bu following step in. Another detail really want to pay attention to is making use of your empty hand. Because this is such a big, powerful cut, with putting my body behind it here, I want to make sure that I use that empty hand to control it, right? So it's important to go say, well, I could control it if I stayed lower. It would be easier, but then you're creating the opportunity for the Dui Fang to simply, especially if it's a Jianke, sees that coming, slip back and maybe get a quick little ge cut, a quick little pi cut over the top. So to block that out, to use your sword as your shield and protect your body, as I sweep up, I got to go to shoulder level. And it mentions this detail in the Excerpt Taiji Trend manual, Taiji Dao manual.